Okay, so when you first started out, you had a plan for yourself and what you wanted to do in this business. Whether it was to come in and just make this a hobby, or whether it was to come in and just pay for your Shakeology, or whether it was to actually do something substantial in the business and earning some extra income and building a savings account or a vacation account or whatever. Um, I know some of you have shared with me the things that you wanted to do initially, and then after a couple of weeks got a little discouraged and just kind of filtered off. And so I wanted to share with you a few things that I have learned over the past couple of years that have benefited me in my own business. And some of it may sound like a little bit of tough love, but it really comes from the heart. So please take it with an open heart and understand that I care about you and I care about your needs and your wants in this business, and I want to see you do well. Okay, so regardless of what your intention was when you first came into the business, or perhaps you want to change gears and you want to boost your business and actually do more, what you have to remember is this is more about the numbers. Okay, when people, and I'm not trying to say people are numbers, however, with our business, it's about connecting with people. And so a certain amount of people you need to connect with on a daily basis, or you don't get the feedback that you need, or wanting, so that you can fill your challenge groups and see people get changed, see them reach their goals, and so on and so forth. Since this isn't a face-to-face most of the time because we're on Facebook, that's why I say this is a numbers game. It is. When you get down to it, that's why we use our invite tracker so much, because it gets you talking to people every single day, at least 5 a day, and just getting that initial invite out. And then your job is to follow up with them, and a lot of people are going to be crickets from the start. They're still watching you. They're still seeing if they can trust you because they don't see you on a daily basis. So the number one thing is this: you really do need to be posting on your own page. That does not mean sharing other people's stuff. That means posting your own things, what you're doing in your life. So if you are not making personal changes already and you're not following what you're saying you are, for example, if you're not eating clean but you're promoting it, people are going to notice because you're not posting any of your own stuff. You're posting everyone else's stuff. If you're saying you need to work out and be accountable, but you're not showing that you're working out occasionally and you're not being accountable to what you're doing, or posting that you had a bad day occasionally, people are going to notice that and they're going to be like, that person's not for real. So you have to be accountable to yourself and prove it online at this point, because you're not in their faces every day and they're not in your house watching you. Okay, so remember, everything needs to be it needs to be from you. It needs to be from your heart. It needs to be from you. And you need to be in a lot of your own material so that people see your face and connect the dots with what you're doing with you. Okay, so moving on from there. All right. The other thing is you have to be accountable to your invite list. You have to fill in all those names. I usually go through my Facebook list, or if you have an old list and you need to move people over from it, if you need to do a combination of both, or you need to go into the memory jogger, go do that. And then make sure you fill in at least 50 of those slots on the invite tracker. Then every day, spend time, copy and paste one of the invites or make up your own invite. Just, use that as a template. Put your own wording into it so that you're making sure you're inviting them to something that would interest someone else or interest you. And then copy and paste it to 5 people. You don't have to rewrite every single invite. That's where a lot of people struggle, and they're like, I can't come up with new material all the time. The nice thing is you don't have to. Okay, basically my invites are the same. I might change the first sentence because I have a personal relationship with them and I'll ask them how they are. But for the most part, it's all the same, with the same information, specifics about my challenge. And then I ask them a question at the end. Either would you like more details, or would this help you with your goals? And then from there, when they message me back, if they message me back, we'll have more of a conversation. I can start asking them follow-up questions. But I encourage you to use the scripting. I know a lot of people turn their nose up at the scripting and they're scared. And that's because your confidence is low, okay? You're thinking that your friends are going to think that you're trying to sell to them, and you need to get your mind out of that mindset. You need to remember this is not about selling to someone. This is about helping them reach their goals. So if you know of a product or a tool that's going to be beneficial for helping them get the results that they need, that is not selling to anyone. You just happen to get a bit of a commission off of it because you're helping them through the process. So get your head out of that negative mindset that this is people are going to see me the wrong way, and start seeing it for what it really is, that this is an opportunity to share what has benefited you in your life and that could potentially benefit them. And if they don't want to go with you, fine. It's not a big deal. But like I said, it's about the numbers. So when you remember that you're messaging 5 to 10 people a day, and you consistently do that on a regular basis, when you start getting some of the follow-up questions or some of the people who just put you on snooze and don't respond, it's not a huge deal anymore. Because you know you're reaching out to 10 people every day, and within that, to those 10 people, 10%, so 1 to maybe 3, are going to message you back. And they're either going to tell you, yes, I'd like more details, which is most of the time, or no, I'm not interested right now, but you know I might be interested in XYZ time. So when you don't stick with consistent inviting, you ruin the amount of potential that you have with connecting with new people. And so by only reaching out to say you just started out and you reach out to, you do what I did in the beginning. Well, you know what? I'm not sure how people are going to respond to this. So I'm going to only message 10 people and we'll just see how it goes. Well, who's to say that 2 people are going to message you back? 8 people might ignore you, and then your feelings are hurt because you only messaged 10 and that's it. And it was your first time. So you got your feelings hurt. You automatically jump to the conclusion that no one was interested. And then you let it ruin you for the rest of the time of coaching. And that's how I went through my business in the beginning. And let me tell you, I had my head up my rear end and I had to pull it out eventually. And the Lord got a hold of me and made me realize this was not about me and my personal feelings anymore. This was about the changes I had made, and I'm sharing them with other people, and I'm helping them through the process if they want it. And if they don't, it's not a huge deal. And if they do, awesome, win for them, okay? But the main thing is you have to be consistent, and you have to be messaging everyone, a specific amount of people every day. So even if it's only 3 people a day, or 5 people a day, or 10 people a day, remember, it's generally a 10% rule that you're going to get on feedback. So I started off with 3 in the beginning, and I noticed that through the month, I wasn't meeting the goals that I wanted to. I wanted my challenge groups to be full and have life. And so having 2 people in your challenge group was really slow. And although, yes, you were helping them, I spent more of my time just texting them instead, which was fine in the beginning. But I really wanted them to grow. I wanted them to kind of pop and everybody to have a good time. And so I realized I needed to bump up how many invites I did per day. And when you copy and paste the beginning message of, would you like more information? It's easy. So you're not spending a ton of time sitting there, writing each message out. It takes about 10 minutes. The longest time it takes you is actually to pick out who you're going to message first. So once you have that all narrowed down and on your invite tracker, it gets pretty easy. You just pick 10 from the list or 5 from the list, and then you copy and paste, and boom, 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 you're done. And then after that, the follow-up process is what takes a little bit longer. Okay, so now that we've gotten past the invite, make sure that you remember this is not about you. This is about relaying information that could potentially help someone else reach their goals. Then you got to start thinking about the follow-up process. And the invite process isn't such a huge deal for me. The follow-up process is, because that means committing to something. And I have a hard time committing to certain things because from day to day, I don't always feel like doing stuff. So you have to change your mindset. If you know that you're not great at your follow-ups, or you know that you're not great at inviting, put those at the top of your list. Make sure you get those done the first thing in the morning. And honestly, I used to dread my follow-ups because I thought I was going to have to follow up with all this extra information. And 99% of the time, I was vomiting in too much information on them all at once. So I have limited the amount of info that I actually follow up with now, and just ask a couple of simple questions here and there. And I give them a little bit of a snippet of what our challenge is about and the specifics on it. And then we go from there. But I don't spend a ton of time on the follow-ups like I used to unless they're really getting specific about stuff. But for the most part, in the beginning, you're asking them about their goals. A lot of the time, you're just trying to reconnect with them because people are busy and they forget to respond to you. They'll see your message and then they, get busy with the kids. So sometimes you do a little bit of chasing people around. However, don't spend all your time doing that. But just say, hey, I just wanted to check in on you. Is everything okay? And most people will respond. If they haven't responded to you in a few days, use the ringer in our Rise and Shine Coaches tool. It's called the ringer, and there's several different options in there. And there's one, I think it's in the blue section that I use. It's the last paragraph. And that's the one that I use the most. It's just more or less, hey, I hope none of my previous messages have offended you. And that's it. There's no mamby-pamby. It's not meant to manipulate anybody. It's just letting them know if I generally offended you, which I hope I didn't, that you know that I'm apologetic about that. But most of the time, I haven't offended anybody at all. They always respond with something of, hey, I just got busy with whatever, or I never check Facebook, which is a lot. And then we find alternate means to actually connect after that. So when necessary. So at any rate, those are the 3 key things that you need to be focusing on in your business. And the main thing is, if you're not connecting with people on a regular basis, you are like a store that is out in the middle of nowhere that's not advertising anything to let people know where you are. So that goes the same for your Facebook posts. If you're not telling people about what you're doing occasionally or showing proof of where you're going with your goals, then people don't know what you're doing. If you don't talk about coaching every once in a while and how it's benefited you, no one's going to know what you're doing as a coach, or that you coach, or that you could potentially help them. And then when you actually reach out to them, they're like, well, why are you messaging me this? Because you don't ever talk about it. So don't be that store in the middle of nowhere that doesn't advertise, because no one's going to show up to check you out. You might get a few people, stragglers here and there, but that's going to be it. And then you're going to be wondering, well, what am I doing wrong? And then you're going to start thinking negative thoughts, and it just goes down from there. Also, there's the stores who close early. What happens to the grocery store who's not open every day of the week or closes their doors in the afternoon? Over in Italy, it's okay because they have siestas over there. Everybody's closed at the same time. But here in the States, that would never happen because people will go somewhere else. So if you're not consistently connecting with people on a regular basis, they're not going to know that you're available to help them. So that's the other reason you need to stay consistent with what you're doing and make sure that you have confidence in what you're doing as well. You already know the products work. You already know the programs work. You know the support works. So just share that with people and stop fearing what they're going to say to you or what they're going to think, because 99% of the time, they're not thinking what you think they are. Most of the time, their thoughts are on themselves and their family. It's not on what you're saying to them. It's more or less, oh, hey, that's a good idea. And then the kids run by and they get distracted again. So that's why you have to follow up. But I hope this inspires somebody today, and I really hope this didn't offend anyone. But I really felt like some of you needed to hear it, because I don't want anybody quitting because they didn't put in the effort that was necessary in order to make this business work. And I know that when I first came in as a coach, I didn't treat it as a business at all, because I didn't understand how the business world worked. And through personal development, it's really helped me come out of my shell quite a bit and be able to learn and be okay with trial and error. And so that's what I'm telling you today. Be okay with a little bit of trial and error. You have to do it in your own life. You have to do it with food, right? Or you never know what you like and what you don't like. You have to do it with fitness. Sometimes we like some of the stuff we get. Some people like Tony, some people like Sean, but if you don't try them, you never know. So that's what I wanted to message you today, chat with you today about, was just to get out there, stop being afraid to try, stop being afraid to grow as a leader, and just start connecting with people, start having conversations, and stop worrying about the no's, because those aren't the important parts. The important parts are the people who say yes. And those are the ones that you're looking for. Those are the ones you want to connect with, because those are the lives you're going to change. All right. I hope this helped. Bye.